Right, I decided to have a look at this box of stuff that's been sent over. Radios by Lewis, aka Ringway Manchester. He's got a number of different radios, but you know, varying sorts of radios really, from things like this ham multimode, which I'll turn around the right way, which I've actually got one of these on the bench up there, and I have done setups on a couple of those sideband radios, and there are some UK legal radios in there as well. So today I thought we definitely need to start on this box. I've had this for about a week now. So what we'll do is we'll look at this rather tired Harrier CBX, which has got the very common problem of the fascia plate coming off. That's super common. So this one should be a nice quick video hopefully, because there's not a lot that goes wrong with these. So let's start off with that one, and I promise I'll definitely move on to probably the multi-mode. There's not that many setup videos on these online, and I've got the service manual for that, so we could definitely sort that out hopefully. There's a common problem that goes wrong with these as well, which I know about, so I can check the radio for that first before we do anything, because I might need to order something if it has the problem that I suspect it probably has. So but let's start with this, the Harrier CBX. So this is Ringway Manchester Radio's video number 1. So yes, it's obviously been mounted in a vehicle, I would say, at some point in its life, and like I say, this is a common problem with this fascia, so we'll sort that out with some just normal glue later on. The control knobs have got the worn lacquer on them, so that tends to chip off after a time. And one thing that does go with these often is the switches. They all seem to be working. Looking around the back, I can't see any holes that shouldn't be there. Back plate looks to be in nice condition, doesn't it? Okay, and we got some action here. Let's put the mic gain up full, RF gain up full, squelch, medium, high and low. The tone is working. It's on PA switch, high and low. Channel 9 is off, turn that off. Okay, so we're doing 3.5 watts according to the meter. Okay, so it's looking like we've got audio both ways. So we're talking on the Harrier now to the Randy. 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's coming out of the Randy, and then we'll do the same with the Randy. 1 2 1 2, testing 1 2. So yeah, that's good. So really good on receive as well. That's 0.3 of a microvolt, 0.34 for 12 dB synad. So that's very good on receive. Right, taking the back off, that looks really tidy in there. Doesn't look like anyone's fiddled, which is great. That's really nice and clean. Doesn't even look like I need to get the isopropyl alcohol out at all. One area that's always worth checking with this board, with this chassis, whether it's a Rotel or a Harvard or a Binatone 5-star or whatever, is these connections on the board here. Very often, if the nut controlling the channel selector knob here, if that nut goes loose, it can put a lot of stress on these joints here. So there's a little tip for you, always check those out. Right, let's flip it over and look for the other side. But hopefully this will be just a straight tune-up quick video, this one. Again, on this side it looks absolutely immaculate. No signs of any tampering or fiddling. Can't see any signs of any screwdriver experts being inside here, which is good. So these radios normally very easily tune up to 4 watts as well, and some, so we should be okay with that. Okay, that's what you're looking for. For test point 1, channel 40 on receive, you're looking for 4 volts at that point there. That's your test point there. The other side of that resistor are 4. Okay, so looking for 4 volts on receive, and make sure you've got a dummy load in for the next bit. You can adjust TP1 if that isn't quite right, so that's that coil next to it there. So the next thing that you do is we've got 4 volts on here exactly. We transmit, we key up, and then we adjust CT1 for 4 volts. At the moment it's on about 3.8, so I'm just going to bring that up a little bit. That's 4 volts. Perfect. So now it should be locked and we won't lose any channels in the cold. Right, the next thing on transmit is to set it to channel 20 and peak these 3 cans there, that one and that one. Peak those to maximum RF power. Right, so I didn't gain anything off the first 3, So first off, we're going to adjust these three for maximum on the watt meter. Let's point you there. A little bit more there. There we go. That's coming right up that one, isn't it? You see that's creeping over the 4 watt. Let's go nearer to 5. Okay, and then an L9. Okay, that's peak. So now in the instructions it says rotate L4 clockwise to obtain 4.4 watts, and then rotate L9 counterclockwise to attain 3.8 watts. Okay, so as we've gone over to nearly 5 watts there, we need to wind this one down, L9, so we're just over the 4 watt mark. There we go. There we go. Spot on 4. And then we just need to check that on channel 40. See what it's like. Yeah, that's spot on. Channel 1. Yeah, that's exactly the same. That's perfect. Okay, so high-low adjust now. Not getting anything in the low power position, and that should be on this one here. So we'll have to give that a little fiddle, see why. It's very often a problem on these sets. What I'm going to do is give that a turn. There we're getting something now, that's okay. Right, it's obviously a bit dirty. Give that a turn, we've got our 0.4 watts there now. Yeah, very often that just needs a good clean. What I will do actually is I'll put some switch cleaner in all the switches and the controls at the front, because they can very often affect that and it not work. Frequency wise it's absolutely spot on, but if you need to adjust the frequency on transmit, that's your little trimmer there, the red one. Just adjust that to suit. Now we set the power correctly, that's the power meter adjustment there, RV4. We're just looking to get that onto the 9, onto the 4. You can see it's there or thereabouts. A bit dirty this control, so we'll spin it back around. Actually we've got nothing on the lower, so that's about spot on, I think. 1, 2. 1, 2. There we go. That's the deviation set. I'll just show you where you adjust that. Okay, your deviation is adjusted by first off centering this potentiometer there. Get that so the little guide, the little V is in the middle of the pot, and then adjusting that one for your deviation. And sometimes again, particularly as this set's been a smoker set, a good squirt with switch cleaner is always advised as well to get that nice and clean so you get reliable results. Okay, what we're going to do now is adjust the FM detector for the maximum peak waveform. We've got a lovely receiver on this radio, really tidy, so we'll just adjust the FM detector. I'll show you where that is in a second. I just found it in the bottom corner here. There we go. That was, I think that was pretty close, wasn't it? We can get that absolutely peaked. Just there. Spot on. That nice clean signal. And just by doing that, we're down to 0.23 of a microvolt for 12 dB synad. So just getting that detector sorted makes a huge difference. Well, I don't think we're going to get more out of this than that, but we're going to try. Now, I will show you the meter on this one, because this one, you'll notice when on this chassis, you very often can get a big swing on this one, although we're very low at the minute. So I'm not sure that we will, but let's point you to the synad meter and see if we do. Okay, right, we're looking to go in that direction to improve it. We'll try with this first one. There you go, look. See what I mean? Right, big old difference there. We're down to 0.19 of a microvolt there. Right, now we've got the perfect receive. We've got a 100 microvolt signal on there at the minute, and we'll just adjust the S meter up for S9, which is RV3 down in the bottom corner there. There we go, absolutely on the 9. There's RF off, RF on, bang on the 9. Perfect. There's RV1, your squelch adjuster. I will give that a tiny little spray I think I have sprayed them earlier on. Tiny little spray, and then we'll adjust that up. So we'll put 100 microvolt signal on, and we've got our squelch set for maximum, and we'll turn the RF on, and we should have there's our tone coming through. And so what we need to do is just back this off so that tone disappears and then comes back in. So we just want it on the threshold, so we'll just do that. There you go, just coming in now, so that should be spot on. Quite nice to see one with all the protection washers on. Don't often see that, they're very often missing. So that's quite clean under there, doesn't really need anything doing. This is unfortunately a problem that you see a lot on this chassis, well, not this chassis, on this radio, is this assembly here. It's multiple really. It's with this radio you get these little lenses for the transmit receive light, and then you get this fascia plate which should in turn be stuck into this section here. They don't put much adhesive on that, just a tiny little bit. I mean, it may be that they don't put any adhesive and they rely on this fascia to keep that in. It's probably more like it, that fascia, it pushes down on that, I think, and keeps it in. So I probably won't put any adhesive on this bit. We'll just put some around this fascia, and this fascia is bent, you can see there, as you can see in this corner here. So I'll have a little go, see if I can tap around with the hammer gently and see if I can flatten that down a bit before we glue it back, because it will just encourage it to come off otherwise. But it's really important, if you do take these apart, to not lose little items like this easily. They can easily pop out. So we'll tap this down with a hammer, we'll get the glue, and then we'll reassemble it, and hopefully it'll all go back together nicely. There we go, we'll put that to one side for a bit, and then we'll give this microphone a bit of a service. They're always a pain, the microphones always take forever, but we'll do it. I'll give this a little service, we'll move this out of the way. Right, I won't bore you with going into the mic, but we'll just show you the before and after. So it's had the muck on it there, the grill's quite dirty. It's nonetheless a nice vintage mic there. It's a Harrier, probably the original microphone, looking at that, you see, with the Harrier badge on the back of that. So I'm not sure I've seen the original mics come in with these before. I should have some plug parts to repair the plug. That should clean up okay. So let's give this a douse of foam, and we'll split it apart and give the switch contacts a clean, and then I'll test it all out and make sure it's all good. The plug's pretty manky, and it's missing most of its screws and everything, so I'm going to fit a new plug to that. I mean, it's quite worn, there's lots of corrosion inside it on those pins there, so I have to put a new mic plug on it. There we go, got a nice new plug on it now. Shiny new connections in there. I'll give the socket on the radio a bit of a clean as well. And I think what we'll do, we'll have a look at online at what they did for the microphone badge on there, and because I'm doing a video on the radio, and it'd be nice to make it look a bit more sparkling for a little freebie, we should give him a new badge for that as well. So it'll just look a bit more tidy when if he's probably going to sell the radios, I would think. So just looks a bit tidier, doesn't it? Right, that didn't take too long to sort out. Got a little label for the mic, just makes it look that a bit nicer. I might put a bit of glue under there, because if you can see, it's kind of designed for a badge with like a little cutout in the back of it. So we'll see what we can do anyway. It'll certainly hopefully look a bit better anyway. There we go, I'm pleased with that. That's spot on. Right, let's reassemble the microphone. It's looking a little bit more better. Well, looking more better, is that a word? It's looking better than it did before. Let's hope it's working better than it did before, and hopefully now the fascia is dried enough that we can get that reassembled, and then we can get on the phone with Mick and do a test with this microphone. Well, that's now looking a lot better than it did. The cable's much cleaner. Let's say in the actual mic, got the PTT nice and clean, got that paint off of it. But these things take time. This has took me as long to do this as it has to do the radio. So bear that in mind when you're when you're doing the full works for people here. Obviously I'm going a bit of an extra mile because it's for Lewis, but there you go. So Yeah, I think that looks lots better, doesn't it? So I think that glue will have dried, so let's reassemble the rest of the radio and see if we can grab Mick to do a test. Right, just drop the control knobs into some bicarbonate of soda for a couple of hours because they got that oily sort of baked in sort of grease on them, so I'm just going to keep those clean, and just use the K-Moon to test the speaker in the case. Useful little thing, just set up a basic sine wave 1 kHz, and then we can vary the amplitude if we want to. We've got it at 3 volts at the minute, stick it up to say 5 and then turn it on. You can also change the frequency there and put a lower frequency on and get a whole range of tones coming through the speaker. So it's good. If you suspect the speaker might be dodgy, it's a good thing to do. So I just thought I'd show you that. You may well already do that yourselves. Sometimes, you know, you can get all the radio reassembled, and it's only when you really do a proper test with it you can tell the speaker's scratchy. So I do this because it only takes a minute, and it's a good test. Yeah, so I cleaned up the cases nicely. I cleaned up the bottom case. That's come up really nice with just some spray foam, a toothbrush, and a microfiber cloth that got a lot of the gunge off of it, so that's nice. And this one's cleaned up nicely as well. It's just it's obviously got the fish plate holes in it where someone's had it on a sliding bracket, which is fine, obviously. But yeah, it's rather does sort of mar the looks. And of course, it also, if you don't fill these holes with something, you run the risk of things dropping into the radio and causing the radio problems. So for a number of things you could do, I think in the past, looking at the back of it, somebody's just put some brown tape there to stop that happening. Obviously that's a bit manky. Alright, I've attempted a little repair. Can you spot the repair anywhere? I'm sure you can spot the first one. Anyway, what I did was I used these little metal punches that I've got, and I punched out some duct tape, which is basically vinyl tape like that. So I punched out some duct tape, stuck it over the holes, and then what I did on the back was I just put some epoxy on the back of the holes, and what that'll do two things. Obviously it will fill the hole, make a support piece, but it'll also help keep the tape stuck down. So it's only a temporary fix. If somebody wanted to permanently remove this, you can scrape the epoxy off and obviously use filler and spray it. But it seems a shame to spray the outside of this case because the rest of the case is really nice. It's in really good condition, isn't it? So I think that's better than just leaving it as holes anyway. And I think it'll be, you know, it'll be practical enough. It certainly looks better than what it did do. So let's pop this CB back together. Right, I think that's looking pretty good, isn't it? There we are, and the control knobs, look at those. They've come out absolutely sweet as. I use this stuff, it's kind of used for taking like the brown stains out of teacups. I put them in some of that for about an hour and a half. Just let them dissolve away, then use the Brillo pad to clean them up, and then just sprayed them with a bit of clear lacquer, and they've come up really nice. They don't have to look perfect because, you know, it's a vintage radio after all, so they don't have to look absolutely perfect, but they look so much better than they were looking. So it's all looking really tidy. I think the mic's looking spiffing as well. The whole shebang is looking great, and I say it came with the thumb wheels on this with a new mic socket on it there. So I think hopefully you should be pleased with this. So let's see if we can get hold of Mick and finish the video with a test. Okay, let's see if Mick is about. Hi there, Mick. I wonder if you're about. I've got the Harrier CBX here now. I just want to do a bit of a test with it. And we've moved down to channel 1 because that's where my antenna here is most resonant. I just wonder what it sounds like to you there today, Mick.
Yeah, hello Paul, this is bus stop returning. Yeah, understood, you're on a Harrier and it's coming through very well indeed. Nice audio, nice and crunchy audio, just how I like it. And yes, it sounds perfect, mate. There's a little bit of white noise in the background, but that's normal for my setup at the moment, isn't it? So yeah, back to you Paul.
Okay, no, you're sounding good. You're sounding good. I mean, the speaker on these
Harrier CBX is a decent size, and they do sound nice. You know, this radio was a bit rough, as you've seen on the video, though. But we've sorted it out now, and I'm hoping it'll work really well now for the next 40 years. Hopefully it'll outlive us. That's the idea anyway. That's why we do these radios, to really sort of keep them for another generation. That's the way I look at it anyway, particularly at my old age these days, Mick. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's come out. There's quite a few more radios in the box. These are from Lewis, Ringway Manchester. He sent them for tune-up and repair. So yeah, we shall wheedle our way through them. There's some interesting radios in there. We've got Ham International, and then I think there's an SS3900 in there as well. So yeah, it should be good. I don't normally do sideband radios, but I thought we'd have a little play around and do a few on the channel.
Yeah, okay, Paul, all copied. There was a couple of funny noises came across you then, but nothing to worry about. It didn't stop your audio in any way. It was still fully readable. And yes, it does sound like a nice radio actually, especially for 40 years old or 40 plus. But yeah, it's yes, nice audio tone as well. And I can't fault that really. And it's coming through on the 440 at the moment, so I haven't got the Thunder Pole on, so I've got to program that back as well, haven't I? Back to you, Paul.
Okay then, Mick. Yeah. Okay, well that was all it really was today. It was just a quick test, so I do appreciate you joining me.
Joining me for a test of this radio. I'll put it to one side and we'll carry on with the rest of the radios in the pile of radios that Lewis sent over. And yeah, really pleased with how it's cleaned up. The control knobs have come up really, really nice. One of the problems with the CBX is they have a sort of matte lacquer on them, and it goes really manky over time, and it looks kind of like the oiliest mechanic in the world the oiliest handed mechanic in the world has been using the set. I hate it, so I scraped all that off and sprayed them up with just some flat, fairly not too shiny lacquer, so it just looks a lot smarter. I'm going to do the same with my other sets as well, because it is a problem with those CBXs, the lacquer wears off the knob. And I don't know about you, but I just prefer a gloss black control knob. It just looks nicer to me anyway. So yeah, it's looking a lot more tidy. Okay, mate, thanks again for your help. I think we'll wind the video up here, and I'll pass it back round to you for a final, and then I'll come back with a final, and we'll sign off the video for today.
Yeah, all understood, Paul. And I saw the picture you sent across to me. It looks very nice actually. So it looks sort of newish, doesn't it? Well, that's what's come across to me. So yeah, another perfect job done. So yeah, you should be pleased with that one. And I wonder how many Lewis has sent to you. The number of them must have cost him a fortune. Anyway, back to you, Paul, and there's no problems with this one.
Yeah, there was about 15 kilograms worth of radios. I think it was quite expensive to ship them, but hopefully it'll be worth it for him. There's not so many people that will touch the sideband radios out there at the minute, so I'll certainly have a go with those and get them working and working properly. Most of those sideband sets have always got service manuals, so you're normally okay. Okay then, mate, thanks again for your help, and thank you to the viewers if you've been watching from the start. I hope you've enjoyed this first instalment of probably about 5 or 6 videos on Lewis's CB radios that he sent for repair.
I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already done so, please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.